Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DumbKants.
Welcome to DumbKants, where two Australian dickheads tell you things about things and discuss things that will probably end in a fart joke. I think this perfectly leads on to something else that we didn't get around to talking about, but we both put some effort into. I was thinking about if I was to give this segment a name, it would be called Sowing the Seeds of Misinformation. So, something that the millennial age has brought upon us is a multitude of conspiracy theories, some more believable than others. But, you know, with the particularly bullshit ones, you're like, where the fuck do these come from? I'm sure it's just someone trolling at some point.
It is, probably.
And, you know, much like myself, is completely incredulous about, like, how the depth of human stupidity. So, Trent and I both decided, well, maybe we should both try to, like, you know, sow some more misinformation and come up with a new conspiracy theory that has not been, like, explored before. And I would be over the fucking moon if somebody started repeating this to somebody else.
Especially in light of them hearing what we've just said.
I don't, well, I mean, I feel that's the thing. I feel even if you, like, pretext it by so many disclaimers, just through the nature of, you know, human connections, there will be some degree of, you know, belief in us at some point. Somebody is stupid enough, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, would you like to start, or shall I start with the conspiracy theory?
I feel like mine's not as good, so I should probably start.
All right, let's see. You haven't heard mine. I don't think mine's particularly good either.
And also, I think, as you said, mine's probably already established, which was,
Okay.
yeah. So, the,
No, well, sell it to me, Trent. Give
to
me
you.
the elevator pitch. Once again, I'm in an elevator. You've got a tinfoil hat on, you know, trench coat. You smell like you haven't showered in a week.
So, you know those crazy Scientologist people?
Okay, hang on. Is this what you're saying to me?
Yeah.
Do. I'm looking at my watch, you know, trying not to make eye contact with you.
As in, like, we're doing the role play thing.
Yeah,
again.
okay, so...
Oh, that's a bit hard.
Okay,
All
so
right.
you've got a scruffy beard. You're sitting behind me. You know, I'm just like... just trying to hit that closed door button while you like, elbow your way in. And I'm like, fuck, why am I on the 23rd floor on a gas-powered elevator?
Mate, this elevator is a sign of the times.
Yeah, sure, buddy. Okay.
And you'd be like, look, they're trying to take it all away from us.
Okay, what? Sorry, pardon?
Well, the women, mate.
The women?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, like,
What do you mean?
Well, you know they're not really from this planet, yeah.
Sure.
Well, have you ever heard the concept, men from Mars, women from Venus?
This elevator sure is slow, isn't it?
So, you know, women are like... So, we had men and women at one point, and everything was all working.
Okay.
But we weren't from Earth, man. Like, Mars has water, right? It has ice. It used to be colonized.
Yeah,
This is
I
why
think
we
I
have
read
such
about
a
that
draw.
once.
Yeah, it's why we have such a draw to go back there, is because we're from Mars. We fled it when the creatures from Venus tried to, like, wipe us out.
The creatures from Venus? Who are they?
Well, they're what we're seeing now as women.
Women?
Yeah, especially those really strong feminist ones that we see.
My mother's a woman, though.
Well, that's where this gets really tricky. It's kind of like, you know how we had Al-Qaeda and like ISIS and all that?
Yeah.
You don't know which Muslims are okay, which ones are actually the terrorists. It's really difficult to tell.
Right.
So what we actually have is our women are getting replaced by these Venetian creatures that look like women, right? And what they're trying to do...
You are... Just to break character,
Yeah.
You're going to have to make this grand conspiracy called the Venetian Blind or something like that. Or the Venetian Double Blind or something like that.
It's Venetian Double Blind.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do is they're actually trying to breed us out. So you know how they're all like, they're trying to demonize sex by saying like, oh, men are evil, and they're like, you know, because we desire sex, we're like automatically bad. So what they're doing is they're swapping out the women, and they're trying to sort of outbreed us.
Sir, you have got a convert Where can I pick up my trench coat and my smelly paper bag of mysterious contents?
Mysterious contents. You've got. If you find a good woman who does what you want her to do, you've got a real one.
Oh my god! I'm gonna put it out there. I reckon that might have been explored in, someone might have put a toe in that one, but I don't think anyone's ever, gone the full hog like that.
Yeah.
Women are fucking Martians. Jesus Christ.
Well, the feminists.
I mean, that is a tough sell.
And that's why they're all lesbian, because the Venetians are sleeping with each other. So that's why. So they're trying to outbreed us by demonizing sex. So we
hang
don't
on. For your conspiracy theory to work, lesbians have to be breeding.
No. But because the Venetians don't necessarily
Yeah.
So what they do is they convert our women, right? Get them into this whole ideal.
Yeah.
And they bring them over and convince them it's a good idea. And then through however their biology sort of works, they sort of convert them.
I mean, okay.
So they sort of replicate by meiosis.
Can I tease this out a little bit? So one of the things that people love in conspiracy, something that perpetuates it, because you can just say something and, that's kind of sexy, it's kind of interesting, but it dies a little bit in the water. You have to have something that people can overanalyze the shit out of. Like, they look at a photo of someone and they take a still and they're like, they run it through a whole bunch of filters and such like that, and oh, look, the color of his eyes is off green or something like that, for he's an alien. Like, what do you reckon is the hook like that you can put on a lunchbox for all your conspiracy fans?
If I was going with this ridiculous conspiracy theory, what I would do is I would take what I'm attempting to fight, which is obviously the feminist movement in this particular.
But hang on, so what I mean is is there some little tell that you can tell on one of these evil women that people can look for in all their news broadcasts and such?
It's a war of ideology in this case. So they look just like your women. That's where it's so insidious. So what you have to pick up on is you have to pick up on what's their agenda and how you do. And this is because the whole point of this conspiracy theory is to tackle an agenda I don't like, the political agenda being, the feminist movement. I'm just putting myself in the mind of a weird conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
Now, I'm trying to run with the ball here.
All right, go on.
So anyway, that's what I'm trying to tackle. So I want to destabilize that, but use it as my proof, because then it can't be debunked.
Ah, yep. So there we go.
So what I do is
this boy knows conspiracy theories.
Yeah. So what I do then is I say say you've got some feminist thing and they're pointing out the chauvinism of males, or they go for that whole thing of objectifying women and talking about sex and all that. That's all some big thing. So you can identify it by looking at the woman becoming sort of offended when you compliment her. And it's how can that be offensive? It's nice. What's wrong with complimenting someone? But they're taking so much offense to it. It's because they're trying to
But what you really want is a reel of film footage where they're looking at a politician, there's some woman that you've targeted as being a Venetian, standing behind flickering her tongue or doing something a little bit weird. But it has to be blurry though, so everyone can be this is clear proof.
It could be something as simple as you take a photo of that person and then you just have if she ends up with red eyes from the filter,
exactly.
You can just be that is proof. No, or you could be you could take the red eyes, but instead of red you could turn them purple or some crap.
No. Look, I feel you don't want to do any outright falsehoods because then one of the blocks could be knocked out, but you could just make it something that's so horrendously up for interpretation that no one can ever say, look, that's completely wrong, because it's a given.
The trick here is you want to take a common feminist argument or viewpoint. And then what you want to do is you want to make that as part of the identification thing for that mindset. So you might be they'll be talking about something, and then you, as the potential believer, go and ask them a specific question or question a particular aspect of that argument. And then because the rebuttal is reliable or has a certain thing, you can just say, well, that should tell. And then you just explain some bullcrap reason for why they're reacting that way.
Or you could say, look, the famous feminist Jermaine Greer. I mean, have you ever known anyone else called Jameer or Grain? Jermaine?
Jermaine.
It's that's clearly an alien name, isn't it?
I'd also
they're not even trying anymore, Trent.
I'd also put a timestamp on it as well. So you can very distinctly find when we had this sort of modern movement to for equality and look at all the changes to society very rapidly. So you can just say, You could just say like, this is when the aliens came, and what time? When do you think? And when do you think that was?
He's forcefully maintaining eye contact with me. Trent has gone native.
When do you think that was? So in my mind, that would be somewhere around like 50s, 60s, right? That it really started to kick off. And that coincides with like the Roswell shit in America.
The lights are slowly dimming in the room.
And Area 51.
His eyes, the room is becoming black around me.
So what did the government like keep secret?
The heat, it's getting too hot in here.
And then it's like, did the Venetians actually first invade and infiltrate then, back in the Area 51, Roswell Gray's day?
Shit.
Yeah. And why do you think they anal probe men?
Oh my god, he's almost convinced me. Alright, well, let's move on to mine. If the Venetian, the Venetian double blind ever becomes like, a little green text that you find on the internet somewhere, it started here first. Well, mine, Jesus Christ, after all that insanity, mine was just, alright, have you noticed, Trent, that the toilet paper of today isn't quite as thick as the toilet paper of yesteryear? Don't you remember, like, when you were a kid, little scamp, you needed, like, half a sheet or something, and you could be, like, clean as a whistle, and now you've got to, like, have a fistful before you can even get close to cleaning off some of those tag nuts. What's been happening is toilet paper manufacturers around the world had a meeting. They're like, guys, do you know how much fucking money we could be saving if we cut off like 1/4 millimeter of toilet paper every decade for the next 4 decades? But guys, it gets better than that. Thin toilet paper, your thumb goes straight through. People get the squirts. And what do people who get the squirts need? More toilet paper. We're going to be rolling in fucking money. And that's who's controlling the world now, the toilet paper manufacturers. Because, like, every other, like, little bit of technology or convenience or something like that, they come and they go. Humans don't stop shitting. I mean, how long's toilet paper been around for, It's not going anywhere. New World Order.
Oh, New World Order, the toilet paper.
Their throne is the throne. Attention, please. Attention, please. This is a bit of an open-ended question. How do you reckon we could improve the world, in one small little way? The idea that I came up with is what I'm going to do is put water noise in all the bathrooms, like a great amount of white noise, so that, like, when you're blasting some porcelain, really painting it, one of those shits where you have to, like, remove yourself from society for a couple of days after so you feel like a person again. It'll at least remove that social awkwardness, particularly at someone else's house. Because have you ever taken a dump at someone else's house during a social event?
Yes.
And how did that turn out? Did you feel like everyone had their ear up against the door with, like, one of those glasses, like, listening, analysing your colonic motility?
I actually just end up pissing myself laughing if I make a noise while I'm shooting.
That's worse, though. So everyone's, like, standing around in a circle with these drinks. I'm just picturing, like, a slow build, like... The door starts rattling, smoke starts coming out from underneath it.
No, not quite that insane.
Like the Tyrannosaurus in Jurassic Park, all their drinks start, like, wobbling.
You walk out covered in filth and it's just like, do not go in there. Woo! Yeah,
that is a terrible strategy to start laughing while...
No, it's just because I find it funny because it's like when you fart while you're shitting and it makes like a noise and then you're like...
It comes out like a fucking torpedo, doesn't it?
And if you're in a place... if you're in
like an escape pod in like a spaceship out into space. Nothing but neat.
If you think people can hear you when you fucking can't help but let out a giant ball of gas, it just becomes funny because you're like, fuck, I couldn't help that, and then you just feel embarrassed, so you just laugh. But like, my biggest worry at the people's houses is like if I leave skid marks. I don't care about the noise as much. It's more like if I leave filth behind, because like I hate when people do it to my toilet, and then if I leave some shit behind.
Let's tease out the boundary of that. I have someone over, They go to the toilet. Clearly they're in there long enough that they've either got like, an Olympic pool-sized bladder or they're taking a shit. Not a sound, not a peep. You could hear a pin drop. Come back the next day, there's a little bit of shit stuck on the side. Oh, fair enough. As opposed to, they go in there, it sounds like a fucking foghorn or something. Whippersnippers, Exactly, Niagara Falls. I think I'd prefer the first one. Like I said, I'm just teasing out the boundaries. Like, sometimes a skid mark is the lesser of the evils, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I have to clean that. Where if like...
Not with your tongue. You just,
No, but,
squirt a bit of shit in there, whatever.
If someone's making
flush it twice, you're done.
If someone's making a lot of noise, like Japan in an earthquake, and then like, you go in there...
Screams and all.
And the toilet's squeaky clean, they've sprayed or whatever, and it's all fine.
Wouldn't that be confusing, though?
No, because then I feel like, well, it couldn't have been that bad. Where like... If they leave a skid mark, that crap continues...
The shit that never was.
Yeah, that shit continues to remind me that there was shit there, and it also emanates the shit fumes while it's sitting there on your bowl.
Yeah.
So, like, you're releasing more fecal matter into the air, so it's bound to smell when you finally get to it.
Yeah.
And then, like, you have to physically, like, scrub that down, where if there's nothing there, you can just rely on, well, water's probably, like, cleaned it out, you know what I mean? And then you can just dump your own load and flush it, and it's good. You know what I mean?
Practical wisdom from an Aussie bloke.
Yeah.
That's it. Show your dominance.
Actually,
if someone has left their mark on your toilet, dump your own load,
right.
Don't stand for that shit. Someone puts a 2-inch skid mark, you go for 4.
Actually, well, that's what I do is I... not my own... No, but I don't double it down with my own crap. What I do is I try to pee it off.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just target practice, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's kind of fun, makes you...
I think that is something that bonds us all as men, Not something we tend to talk about, but it's basically the truth.
Pistols.
This one's fresh in my freaking mind.
Yep.
I had this just yesterday. Mm-hmm. So, I was catching bus.
We should rename this podcast to Alex catches the bus.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I get a lot of thinking done there. So, I was listening to another podcast, and it ran out. And I was kind of, I was like, all right, what do you do when you run out of podcast? I'm like, I'm just going to YouTube some music. And I had a song running through my head. So, I was like, I'll look that one up. And it's the song Sweat by Inner Circle, you know the one? A la 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 long, a la 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 long, 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 bong, bong. A la 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 long, a la 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 long, 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 come on.
I get
Girl. Yeah, that one. Anyway, so I listened to that song. I'm listening to that song, grooving out because, I one of the things I always love about on the fucking bus is people looking miserable. It just makes me fucking laugh, like, because I'm just like, there's all these people just like hating life, going to work in their grey suits, and then I'm just like, you might as well fucking have some fun with it. It honestly, it's weird. Like, the more miserable people are around me, like, the happier I kind of feel, on the bus at least. But anyway, so I'm listening to this song, and like, whenever I listen to music on something where I'm just like waiting around, your eyes start to glaze over and you start to like, go into some kind of fantasy world, right?
Right.
And usually like, if it's a rock song, you're like, I'm the fucking lead singer of the band, like rocking out on stage and there's girls throwing their underwear at me and all that sort of bullshit. But where I went to with this one, like when the curtain came down, was I was on top of a bell tower, right? Some South American country, little bit hot, up in the belfry, a couple of beads of sweat running down. I had like one of those like JFK assassination rifles, like the bolt action ones. And I was busy, like I had this song playing on my phone or whatever into my ears, and I'm like sniping people to this song. Police burst in. I'm just like, fuck you, coppers, or whatever. Or no, actually, so I'm cooler than that. I'm fucking cooler than that. I'm like, smoke a cigarette, chuck it away. I'm like, do what you must. And I like go down in the hail of gunfire, and then they're all like, what the hell did he have on his phone at the time? And they just like, pull it out of like the little Ziploc bag in the evidence room, and it's just like, a la 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 long, a la 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 long, long, dong, dong, dong. I like, I come out of this fantasy, and I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? That was literally just like where my mind drifted to when I was listening to that song. So in a very long-winded way, my question is, do you get psychotic fantasies, but when you're not angry? Because I fully understand, like, if someone's, like, cut you off in traffic and you just want to, like, get their head and put their mouth over the exhaust pipe and just like rev the car or something like that.
yeah.
I mean, that's understandable. But this is just like, I'm happy listening to a happy song, so I go to like, a shooting spree.
Yeah, see, I get that with a specific rendition of Ave Maria. I get the whole I get the whole like, and that little piano melody. The
Yes.
I get this like full sociopathic thing. Like I'm in a good mood. I love that song. It's my peaceful song.
Yeah.
And then like I'll be sitting down, just like listening to that in the background.
Yeah.
And I'll just be thinking about. Maybe it's because I related to like Hitman or something, but I'll just be thinking about like. Sometimes it would be fun to be like an assassin or... I don't come up with specific scenarios to that song, so I should probably think of something else. But usually it is with the happy song. So when you're in a really good mood, and I've found this, when you're in a good mood, you listen to happy songs, you're walking around, and you see how shit everything is. You get like... It's kind of like a way of just like embracing that shitness and that chaos and then just being like... I reckon I could just totally get into this. Like,
Yeah, I totally get that with Ave Maria because it is very much a... Ave Maria, someone will correct me on
who
that.
knows how to say it?
Yeah,
Ave Maria.
But yeah, that one is like,
Or
but the way
Moonlight
it's
Sonata is another one.
yeah, okay. So both of those ones, that's like Hannibal killing. That's sort of like Silence of the Lambs. Like you're a psycho. You've been busy stalking somebody, and it's in like a European city. You pull out like one perfectly polished knife, and the moonlight glints off, and you like slice their throats or anything. But this song, it was literally like me in a sweaty bell tower, like I said, with like an old school wooden like carbine, like just unloading on people. And there's just that bouncy tune that was like putting me there.
So like I think, like I said, with that bouncy tune with the backlay of like something tragic.
Yeah.
The act of like.
It wasn't tragic though.
No,
I was like,
but
I would be the fucking man, even though I go out in a hail of bullets.
Oh,
like,
what I mean is like the tragic is the tragedy is what you're witnessing on the bus, right? Which kind of kicks this thing in, right? So no,
people's everyday life is a tragedy.
yeah, it is. No, like like you
We
said,
all really wish we could just be shooting people out of a bell tower. But...
I mean, well, let me put it to you this way:
Yeah.
you're on the bus, you're
Right.
doing your 9 to 5, going to work, whatever.
Okay.
Everyone else on the bus is doing the same thing. You're looking around and going like, look at all these miserable people doing their 9 to 5. They hate their life, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then that just kind of makes you happy. And then like, well, you're kind of laughing at it. But then what I mean is like, so you put on this happy music, right? And music's kind of like, it divorces you a little bit from reality when you just drown out everything else and just have the music, but you still got the picture rolling. So then it becomes one of those things of like, you can sort of like free yourself a little bit. And like the most socially, I guess like social constraints are really like serious, right? Like that's what makes people feel trapped. So then like the most, in your mind, I would say probably the best way to be free from social constraints is to just go, fuck it, I'm just going to shoot a bunch of people. Because it's not like...
Has anyone realised like where the name of this show comes from? I say something dumb, Trent overly philosophises it, and vice versa. I'm thinking the name is more and more appropriate the more of these that we do.
Hey man, I'm just sticking to a thing.
I know. So now you've got me broken down to a type. So, okay, maybe Mr. Psychoanalyst.
Yeah.
Does this mean I'm in danger of becoming a psycho killer later on in life?
No, because it's kind of like, everyone has like little dark thoughts here and there, and I think that's just your way of your brain.
It wasn't dark though, man. I was happy about it.
But
I
it's
had
dark. You're slaughtering people.
I had no guilt about like killing all these people.
No, you don't need the guilt. It's dark because you're killing people. You're doing something that's socially a terrible thing.
I didn't feel bad afterwards though.
No, you
I
didn't have to.
just came out of that and I was like, where the fuck did that come from?
but-
I wasn't like, holy shit, I need to go see a therapist. It was just literally like, oh, that was a bit unexpected, wasn't it?
No, but you don't have to.
Normally I'm just like, in a hot tub with 3 girls when, I'm
but
thinking
see,
about these
you don't
things.
have to feel bad about that. I mean, look, we watch violence on TV and fiction, and, right, and like admire certain characters who are going around realistically just slaughtering people, right?
Right.
And that's considered okay, but we wouldn't do it ourselves. It's kind of like it's sort of like a way of mastering like the darkness within. Like you don't. I think people only really feel bad about their evil thoughts when other people make them feel bad about it. So it's like...
So you're saying I don't have enough good influences in my life?
No, because but see, you don't... Well, yeah. No, but like, it's also...
Trent had a moment there where
I mean, it's also a harmless thing. It's like out of...
you put yourself in that scenario and you're like, oh, hang on, I'm one of those influences
No, but
now.
see,
So now you've got responsibility for my soul.
Okay.
How does that feel?
So, like, I've seen some, like, messed up shit, and when I could sit here and imagine all sorts of, like, crazy-ass scenarios, I'm not going to feel bad about it just because I can imagine it.
Right.
So, like, you divorcing yourself and having this little simulation, it's kind of like playing a video game. I'm not going to feel bad about killing all the children in GTA 5 or something by running them over with a car, because it's like, firstly, I know it's not real. I know I'm not actually doing it. But it's kind of like a way of just sort of processing and just, like...
Here's the difference I feel.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of talking against myself because I'm sort of like, in a way, arguing that I am a psycho and I should be put away. But, so GTA 5.
Yeah.
Or watching, frickin' some violent movie.
Yeah.
You're in a voyeur position. You're sitting back in your chair, stuffing whatever horrible shit into your face.
Yeah.
Gets caught in your beard.
All the time.
You're all sweaty and horrible and freckly, and nobody wants to have sex. Sorry, it was just too fun to turn that into like...
Sorry, all I've got is this really happy song playing, and it's just me beating you right now.
No, okay, so where I feel this is different is you watch a movie, you play a game, that is a piece of art someone has created for you. You can sit back from that as much as you want, and in your head you can be like, war is terrible. Isn't this glorification in this movie just so horrible? Whereas, for me... It was all I was. It was my head. I was that person. I was all up in my head. There was no area for misinterpretation about what was going on or how I was feeling about that scenario.
And here's the thing. That's what makes you... that's what will ultimately make you a more moral person than someone who's more naive and never... So, like I said, it's a way of processing. So, the fact that you're... No, but the fact that you...
So, I put... Hang on. Hang on.
Yeah.
No, hang on.
No, hang on.
No. Okay. This is a great thing that I do as well. Look, I'll cut Trent off before he says what he says. I'll tell him what he was going to say, and then we'll get into an argument about that.
Yeah. So what do you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say, I'm teasing out my moral boundaries by putting myself in a position to be like, what would it be like if I did that? And then I come back and be like, oh, that was a fucked up thing to do. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm not going to, go get my gun license or whatever.
It's not quite what I was going to say.
Okay. What were you going to say?
So what I was...
Hang on, Trent. No, it was.
So what I was going to say was that everyone has dark thoughts. It's a generally construed thing. Well, most people do.
Right.
A lot of people choose to ignore it or just say like, oh no, I would never do that or whatever. Where like everyone occasionally has this. Who knows what triggers it? You have it in your dreams every now and then, or at least I have. It's very common to contemplate suicide, but it's whether or not you act on it is the other thing. I think what ultimately is happening is and what makes you a better person is that you can acknowledge that you have these dark traits that have the potential to manifest. People are all generally the same. So when you meet someone who's a complete arse, or you see these psychopaths in real life...
Sorry, I'm reaching for the waffle button. Sorry.
There's...
Trent, do I need therapy or not?
No. Because I think you're self-therapy.
I'm self-therapizing.
Therapizing, yeah.
Okay. All right,
I'm making that up just now.
Sucking my own dick, as it were. I'm sorry to cut you short.
Yeah,
I was just like...
I mean, we don't have a lot of time today.
I could just tell Trent was descending into the realms of madness just then.
I was, yeah.
Oh, God.
Hail Cthulhu.
Attention, please. Attention, please.
If you have a hot chick over, right, to your house, and she goes to the bathroom, now she lays out a log. Now, we all know girls don't make noises. So, she leaves a skid mark in your dunny. Maybe a bit of a smell.
Okay.
Now, you haven't banged her yet, but you go in there and you, discover this. How does it affect you with hooking up with this person?
So, hang on, the shit's still in the bowl?
Or just a skid mark with maybe some stench. It's like she's on a high protein diet or something.
I feel this is on a gradient like a lot of these things. I go in there, it looks like alien blood,
But everything about her otherwise is fine.
I'd probably suck it up.
You'd suck it up?
Not the shit stain, just the,
Yeah.
I'll do a 180, look myself in the mirror. It's like an improv exercise in acting. You're just like, cool, waterfalls, bird noises, sunny day. All right, I'm back on.
Fair point.
No, I reckon I could work through that.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
I mean, if it smelled like, the wretched arsehole of Hades, yes. I might have to go outside for
away from the business area. So
True.
You got to wonder how much of that like ass ball connection has been wiped into the room.
Yeah, well, that is true. I don't know. Case by case basis, I guess. I'd like, what's the Columbo, that one, weigh up all the facts and see where I stood at the end of it.
I think the one thing you'd need to know is, does this girl wipe back to front or front to back?
I feel like that would be a bit of a rude question for the first date, Trent.
Oh, 100%.
Trent's pick-up tips.
But imagine if you're omnipotent. Like, if she wipes back to front, she's dirty. Because, do girls wipe while they're still sitting down? And in which case, is it easier for them to wipe back to front?
Female listeners, if you feel like weighing in on this one, please respond to us.
Because they totally have the option.
Oh, I'll put it out there. I would be interested to know.
Well,
this podcast could just turn into Trent and Alex get educated about all the things they don't know about women.
Which is pretty much 90%.
Yeah, exactly.
But
about the the same percentage of chimp DNA that's in people.
That's right. That's how much we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We only know the 10%. But no, because to me, it's unnatural to wipe back to because
oh, absolutely, you're not wiping shit on your balls. What the fuck?
I don't want to get poo on my balls. And, if you're standing up, maybe.
However, okay, look, I'm going to have to devil's advocate this one, because otherwise we're just going to be agreeing. I reckon you can get better leverage back to front. You reach through your taint, you get round through the valley of death, and you can get a nice wind up, rip through, big extension.
Get a good scoop.
I reckon you could use 50% less toilet paper with the front to back technique.
Possibly.
But what you have to do is a little wrist flick at the end, so you don't get it on your taint or balls. You have to just like that, and then you flick it on the floor. You squeegee it up. We're creating a different bathroom culture here.
I mean, we could look at. Monkeys when they grab their poo, they do it this way. They reach around.
Trina's reaching around the back.
Yeah,
yes,
they go front to back, so they scoop.
That's back to front.
Front to back.
No, you're grabbing around your back.
Yeah, no. By front.
No, that's back to front. No,
it's the angle of scoop. So where you're scooping.
Oh, okay. So, but so you grab around the back, grabbing towards the front, but then you're still going.
That's front to back.
Front to back.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
So monkeys grab front to back.
Picture that, if you will, audience.
Actually, no. Monkeys just sort of crap into their hand and then just throw it. But anyway. But
I feel like we're reaching the limits of interesting conversation.
True. We are just getting vulgar.
That's alright. We can only hold it off for so long.
It's true.
People have to know how it really is. Well, know.
That's why you listen to a podcast. It's private. You can say whatever.
You can hear the filth dribbling in your ears.
Most people...
I feel dribbling is the correct verb for how this podcast will be transmitted to people.
Most people are pretty filthy, I feel. They just can't say it in a social setting.
Oh, well, if you are listening to this in church, your Mormon convention, at your wedding, we're here for you. We'll bring that filth that you can't bring to the situation that you're in right now.
Actually, I was going to ask.
Go on.
What do you think about so if you look at the future, I was having a conversation with a mate recently.
Okay.
If you look at the future and the way that everything is going or whatever, a lot of people seem to automatically assume everything is going to be terrible. Right? It's a big dystopian future. Donald Trump's president, so therefore it's bad for some reason just because he's a bit of a wank, or whatever. Pick your topic.
Right.
Okay. Everyone's just it's this way. It's getting worse. Where all I've seen is in my opinion anyway, is everything's gotten progressively better for us over time. And we're just finding more things to fight about for no real obvious reason.
Right.
And from what I can tell throughout history, everyone's had their own version of the apocalypse or some events which they think is going to cause some massive downfall of society. Ultimately it doesn't do that. The onset of atomic weapons and whatever. Everyone's all okay, it's the end of the world. Well, it hasn't happened yet. Before that you had probably...
So,
do you get what I'm saying?
So your question is, it seems to be a common meme, to use it in the correct psychological sense, a common meme for people to say the world's going to shit, whereas you feel there is a bit of disconnect between reality and what people are saying.
100%. I mean, I think the thing is most people seem to be starting to understand that people are dark and people do shit things, right? But they also, I think we're going further away from the appreciation of what a lot of people do for the majority. So you usually have these like driven individuals who innovate and create something for everyone that makes everyone's lives better. A lot of everything we have around us is like
getting better.
Like
Look,
that is everyone's cumulative work making our world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me preface this by saying I agree with you. You
Yeah.
know, we have fleshlights now. We have VR porn. You know,
Life couldn't be better.
I can browse some shit posting while I'm pushing out a turd. You know, my life is infinitely better than someone 100 years ago. I don't want this to turn into a circle jerk. All right, let's see what's wrong with the world these days. There's some nuclear weapons around, Trent. You know,
Yeah.
that's a little bit scary, isn't it?
That's
Like
right.
we have new and innovative ways to kill each other that were not possible in the past.
Correct. Robots.
We're breeding some super viruses.
We are.
Yeah.
In fact, yep. We're getting closer to our sun expanding and turning us into Mercury.
Overdue for a super volcano in Yellowstone, I think.
Yeah, that one's going to
Poles are going to shift at some point, you know.
Correct. But notice how a lot of this is not the current topics that everyone's whinging about.
Okay, hang on. All right. Okay. Sweating like a lawyer at, like, you know, fucking OJ's trial or something like that. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Socially, people seem a little bit angry. Social media seems to be like tipping people off a little bit.
Have I put you in your like discomfort zone right now?
Well, no, because I genuinely agree with you, but I'm just like, that's not very interesting if Trent and Alex just like, you know, rail on people who complain about the world.
So,
but like social media, okay, this is one I can focus on. Social media, I'm not 100% sure whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah. I guess the answer to this would sort of like define maybe like an avenue for pursuing the opposite side of this point. Do you think we've become more divisive as a society because of social media or not?
Divisive?
Yeah, as in, are people fragmenting more? Because it's easier to find like your clique and then just to stick in there.
Okay. I would say we have. This is going to be one of these.
Trent still has some sort of aspirations for a political career, so like, you know, he has to guard himself. Like, you know, I'm happy to say, look, you know, it's the blacks' problem. Yeah. You know, they've clearly brought down society. Whereas Trent's like, there are some problems in our ethnic communities. You know, all those like there's disproportionate violence with some groups.
I will support children welfare.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. No. This is my honest opinion on that. I think, and this is why I was like, I think it's a bit of both.
Right.
Yes, I think we're losing. Essential social skills. We're losing a level of empathy as well. Yes.
No, go on, please. Sorry. I actually, no, sorry. I can't just laugh and put it. Okay, so Trent was turning into his father for a second there. He was leaning back in his chair, arms crossed, like, you know, looking down his nose at me with a real paternal gaze. He's like, look, son, you know, this is what's happening, you know. It's all these clicks and whistles and hip-hop that people are listening to these days. There's not enough appreciation for the classics. You know, back in my day, you used to have to wait 4 weeks before you held a girl's hand. And now, you know, if you don't stick your tongue up her asshole on the first date, you know, you ditch her and you kick her to the curb.
And that's exactly the point. But no.
Oh, that's the point, isn't it?
No. So, but see, that is the point. So I don't know where I read this somewhere. I don't know exactly how factual it is, but it works as an analogy.
Okay.
So with this whole social media thing, creating all these problems with like socializing and like, you know, new kids and their music and all that shit that old people make. That's a very common, consistently generational qualm about like innovation and change. Yeah. So like example is sort of back in the old ancient Greek days before they had writing. Yeah. It used to have a storytelling tradition. Most cultures had storytelling, right? Because writing wasn't a thing. It wasn't a fully developed avenue. When they were bringing in writing, apparently there was a lot of backlash with that because it would ruin storytelling tradition. Yeah. Right?
I think you might have even brought that up on this podcast before.
I think I have. Yeah. I'm running out of stories. No, but but to me, that's like a really insightful thing. It's like, I can see that and I can see why that would be scary. But ultimately what happened was, you had a little bit of the storytelling tradition changed, but it ultimately, like, communication and like the benefits outweighed those small changes.
So if I'm going to extrapolate off that, you're saying social media is a good thing. You're saying it is change. It is not without cost, like any change, but ultimately it is the way forward. I mean, I think what we can both agree on is it's not fucking going anywhere. It's like crack for people.
Correct. Yeah. It's not going anywhere. And look, it is an efficient way to communicate with as many people as easily as possible whenever you need to, which is good. But I think we will miss certain social skills, and I worry about the ultimate outcome of that.
Trent worries about the world. I worry too.
Yes.
Look, look, Trent, don't worry about the world. Look, they've got us, you know. We're doing our bit to disseminate information, give people the right way forward, talk about important issues like, you know, fucking what we were talking about just before. That's right, about psychotic thoughts.
Shelving.
You know, if a girl comes over and leaves a shit stain on your toilet, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, look, the important issues.
Absolutely.
Leave the fucking Gaza Strip to the, you know, the little namby-pamby people.
Well, here's the thing. Do you reckon social media is increasing depression?
I think it increases depression in people who are already depressed.
Fair point.
Yeah, I feel like social media, like whenever I look at it, you know, you go on there and it's like people's lives are either as fucking great as they can possibly be or as bad as they can possibly be. There's no fucking middle ground. It's just...
Well, you don't get the reality. You're only getting snapshots that
Exactly, but everyone always
always
projects like a hyper-real version of themselves. Like, you know, I go on social media, I'm like, bitch, you know, you didn't fucking, you know, cook some amazing gourmet meal. You don't do that regularly. This is just like, you know, you've taken a photo out of a magazine and you're posing it next to your face or something like that. I don't say bitch normally. That was a very catty way of putting it. So I feel like, in a way, that's true for depressive people as well. Because if they're kind of like, you know, I'm a little bit unhappy with my life, you know, everything's kind of grey. And then you like look on social media, it's like, oh, everyone's amazingly great or amazingly shit. You know, either way, it's probably going to push you into depression. But I feel like for your average schlum, like myself, I'm just like, nah, I don't think so.
Well, it's like relationships too. Like, you go on social media and you just look at like some couple and they got some like extremely wanky photo of like them at a sunset standing on a rock.
Okay, well, let me do the devil's advocate again.
But then
You're not going to fucking have a photo of like the guy like clipping his toenails and the girl
correct.
like, you know, like
correct, but
shaving her legs or something like that.
What I mean is when people look at other people's like shit and they go like, oh, this is indicative of their life. Look at this nice moment they had. When chances are like that moment was forced. Like she's probably been like, we're taking a photo here now.
Okay, let's fucking rail on females. Okay, so the bloke has had like this whole camera set up, dragged on his back. She's like, hurry up, you asshole! We gotta get up this mountain before the sun sets. Fucking set this up. Like, I don't give a shit, you know, if you work 12 hours in the mine, set this shit up. And then it's just like, ding! And she pops out her little smile, and the guy, you know, has just enough time to wipe the sweat off his forehead, you know, try to remove that soulless glare in his eyes that mean he realises he's like 12 years into a relationship and he should have put his gun in his mouth at the 6th year or something like that.
Well, the flip side for, the guy equivalent doing that is basically like, oh, hey guys, look at this nice half-naked picture of my girlfriend. Check it out. Isn't she awesome?
I know. I think it's always interesting spotting to be like, see what his excuse is. Like, oh, I love my girlfriend, you know, she's just a really good girl, and this is the best photo I could pick was her, like, you know, twerking at the camera or something like that. I think it shows off her best side. Fuck off, you asshole.
Yeah, complete wanker. Or like when you stand just under a light in the perfect angle to make it look like you got mad muscles.
Oh, interesting. I just casually took this photo and it just, like, ended up defining my junk perfectly.
I sent this to a chick and it got me laid, that kind of thing.
Alright, what do you reckon you could beat me in an eating contest? What do you think you could eat more of than me?
Pringles.
Fuck off, no.
You reckon?
You're going to have to dig deeper than that. I reckon I could out-eat you with Pringles. I like Pringles. I assume you pick Pringles because you think you really like them, yeah?
I never stop eating them if they're in front of me.
Once you pop them?
Yep.
Okay.
Like, I don't think I've ever gotten full
eating
Pringles. Like, I've never gotten over eating them. I have to just...
Once you go to black tar Pringles and you've sucked your first dick, you never go back, right? Yeah, okay.
Right. And there's nothing worse.
But see, I'm saying piss off on that because I like Pringles as well.
Right, okay.
I'm okay.
So
it's easy for me because I can just be like fucking tomatoes barbecued with what's some other shit you don't like? You know, tomatoes on tomatoes or something like that.
Well, it's easy for me as well. I just go I'll just go a massive steak.
I could out-eat you on a steak.
I doubt it.
I don't eat meat, but it doesn't mean I can't eat it.
Well, I've had more practice, and that shit is heavy. I've had steak. Like,
I don't know, you're a bit of a lightweight, Trent.
You reckon?
You know? If I was to describe it, I would say this would be like a flyweight versus a
I reckon you and
heavyweight.
You and I need to go to Hog's Breath and like get a massive steak dinner, and then we'll come back.
This boy talks a lot of shit.
Next episode.
You see him, you know. He doesn't have the hunger in his. I've been a vegetarian all my life. I'm hunger. I live in hunger.
I am starving for
what's the Batman quote? You know, like you were introduced to hunger. I was born into hunger. You know, I've got an appetite since I was
You're not little,
0 years old to like fucking try to.
You're not little Pepito from the Philippines or whatever. Like,
No.
you know, like
I don't know, man. That's my competitive edge. Like,
Well-
I'd pull out a fork, I'd put on the bib, and I'm like, I'm not eating until like I win or I've ruptured my stomach.
righto. I mean, we're gonna do this steak thing at some point.
Oh fuck
But
no.
like, see, you're already backing down.
Hey,
already out.
hey! I said I'm
You
the
haven't even-
hypothetical champ. I never want to be tested, man. Do you really want to open that fucking wormhole?
A little.
You want to fucking open that? We're both going to be miserable, but you're going to be miserabler. I don't play. I'm gonna play dirty, man. You're gonna
Yeah.
be fucking, you know, ingesting some E. coli or something like that. I'm gonna be shitting on your toothbrush if we do something like this.
Nah, you can't do that because then that's not reasonable. You haven't really won.
Hey, this is like laws of the jungle, man.
Laws of the jungle?
There's no fucking official commission for like Trent and Alex eating competitions. I floored him.
Either way, I don't know what else we could competition eat. Because
You can competition eat anything. Anything you can get a stack of.
pancakes,
Nah. See, you're too fucking pedestrian, man. You have to go real off-road for me.
chili.
I quite like chili. I'm not sure I like it as much as you.
I really like chili. I reckon I could do.
Dude, I told you about when I went to Bathurst. And I had some fucking ghost pepper chili.
Right.
And yeah, it was quite funny because, like, you know, I'm a stubborn bastard. I was down to the end, down to the final minutes. Me and that name's bleeped out intentionally, incidentally. Like, you know, we're staring each other down. We've had like we're basically playing this roulette where you had tomato sauces mixed with either barbecue sauce, sriracha, or ghost pepper. I fucking got the ghost pepper like 2 or 3 times. It is difficult to describe. It feels like your face has been ground into the pavement when you have it. It's a proper powerful sensation.
It's one of the worst.
But I managed that. I can put up with a little bit of temporary pain for permanent glory. I would get my fucking name written on a star pick at Trent if I won this contest.
But that added to like actual food.
However,
so then, like, you could
listen to how this story ends,
Yeah, okay.
because this is pertinent.
Did it all dump out the other end?
No, because what happened is we commenced some drinking after this.
Bad idea.
Whenever I've had chili, there are the 2 components, as you've mentioned. There is the mouth and there is the anus. There are the 2 ends of the tunnel that you must consider. An area that I had never previously considered is your stomach. I started to get the worst fucking pain in my stomach I felt in a very long time. And I was just like, holy shit, this was something I never knew I could ingest such a powerful chili that this would be an issue. Like, because normally once it's past the lips, you're done, right? I intentionally had to go and make myself like have a massive yak because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sleep. And then I'm going to have to go through this trauma a second time in the morning. So I went and had a yak. It was bloody horrible. Thanks for asking. It came up my nose and out my mouth. And yes, it's just as hot the second time around. My compatriot, my fellow competitor, once again bleeped out intentionally, didn't throw up. He held it in his stomach, and after some, you know, deep interrogation, he was completely fine as well. He never had like a proper grog bog where he like burnt out his ringer for a week.
Well, you know.
So I feel like maybe, and I've never properly tested you, you might be in that camp, and you might have like that advantage over me.
When you got red hair, it's a hard life.
I know, I was going to say, like, you don't have much going for you when you're a redhead, but maybe...
Iron forges iron, my friend.
Or is it like, you know, like a werewolf or a vampire or something? Like, you know, where you've got to have the same thing to kill it. Like, you know,
Okay.
you have to kill a vampire with a stake made out of its own coffin or something like that.
Well, okay.
Would this be your ultimate downfall?
Quite possibly. I mean, look, can I add an extra factor into these competitions? Fate. What I'm going to say...
Oh, you're doing the Hail Mary stuff now,
so
are you?
here's what I'm going to say. Every single time you and I do anything, ever, I'm always the one who comes out on the
Yes,
bottom.
that is true.
Regardless...
I have the rabbit's foot.
I could have the whole... everything in my favour,
Yeah,
and for some reason you'll just dodge every bullet.
that's right. Well, I don't know. That is something we can't control for, but I think you might have hit on something that I'm willing to concede that there is a chance that my stubbornness may not prevail on this. Because I gave the victory to ultimately because I was like, I feel like you holding it in your stomach, like, is, you know, I feel like it was ultimately your
especially
win.
after what you went through, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
Isn't that the drinking rule as well? Like, yeah. You know?
Yeah, if you have a yak, you're out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just yak and keep going. You got to like actually just.
Or if you have a yak and you keep going, then it's just.
that's
it's a little bit sad, then, isn't it?
That's pretty hardcore. Like. That's
that makes me fucking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I'm sort of like, all right, so alcohol poisoning's what we're doing tonight, is it?
Yeah. No, it's bad, man.
Well, I think that's a good place to finish off, don't you, Trent?
Oh yeah, it's pretty good for me. What's today's lesson, Xander?
Oh, we're doing the lesson, are we?
Yeah. Well.
Look, I think we've covered a lot of topics here. Trent gave some practical wisdom about how to start or how to avoid a cult. You know, apply it as pertinent to yourself. Wiping your ass, you know, experiment, see what works for you. You know, don't just do what everyone else does.
Starting a cult and wiping your ass.
I think what people have really learned from this is, you know, as crass and shit as our like normal topics are, you know, it takes us effort to get to that level.
It's true.
And when we're pushed into the corner, back up against the wall, this is what you get. It's all tits, farts, and shit.
Filth.
But thank you for sticking around. Maybe we'll have something better next time. Maybe not. See you later.